TG Geeks, episode 286, August 10th, 2020. Pride and Joy in the East Valley. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of geek-to-men nerdery, sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre, you name it, we talk about it. And this is not pre-recorded.
No,
we're doing this live.
Why do you? Okay,
it's just it's always the same. The intro is always the same,
and your inflection is always the same. Yeah.
And I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, coming to you from the lower decks of Phoenix, Arizona.
No, let's get on with it.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the Two Gay Geeks are discussing this.
Well, in this episode, we are going to talk to Elena Joy of the Pride and Joy Foundation, and she's going to tell us her story and how the Pride and Joy Foundation got started and what it's all about. We'll have our birthday shout-outs, our podcast of the week, and quite a bit of feedback today, and some shout-outs. In our second segment, we'll talk about something new, as well as our weekly recap and a regular shout-out. So let's just get on with it. And this time we welcome to our podcast Elena Joy, founder of the Pride and Joy Foundation. Well, welcome, Elena.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's an awesome honor to be here.
Oh, well, thank you.
Oh, my God. We've given somebody an honor?
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, now we have to live up to this.
Exactly.
Hey, no pressure.
No pressure. So you had come to our attention recently because you reached out and we ran a press release when you were just launching the Pride and Joy Foundation, and now here we are talking to you. So why don't you, obviously people have seen that, or some people have, but not everybody looks at the website. They only listen
shame.
They only listen to the podcast. So
how dare they?
Tell us first, tell us who Elena Joy is, and
how did the Pride and Joy Foundation come about?
Your little story, shall we say, and the elevator pitch of your life, as if you were going to the top of the Empire State Building, not the big tall building, but the medium sized building. So,
right.
Let's see. So, I was part of a pretty high demand religion for a long time, and I was living life faithfully and obediently, and I was married for 17 years. I had 4 kids. I was the suburban soccer mom. I was in a neighborhood with tree-lined streets and white picket fences, and I was doing that whole thing. And then my youngest went off to school, and I started to realize I really didn't like my life, and which felt completely shameful because I had nothing to not like. I was blessed in all the ways. And so I would refuse to acknowledge that thought, and I would just push it away and push it away and push it away. It reminds me a lot of that Book of Mormon musical, Turn It Off.
Oh, right.
So I would just try to turn off those thoughts, and I kept trying to distract myself, and I kept picking up hobbies, and literally I was just running away from my life. I was just refusing to acknowledge that it was off. It felt so off, but I couldn't accept that because it was everything I had worked towards my whole life, right?
Right.
And and one of the hobbies I picked up turned out to be fly fishing. And it became
okay.
such
Now,
a blessing for me.
wow.
Now, I got to ask. I have to ask a couple of questions first. You're based in Arizona, Queen Creek, is that right?
Yeah.
And you were fly fishing
And
in
you're
Queen Creek.
fly fishing.
I really am.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got to really wrap my head around that one because I didn't even know you could do fly fishing anywhere in the greater Phoenix Valley.
You can. And what's hysterical is that there's like a small population of native Arizonans that fly fish. But what it is that we have all these older gentlemen from all over who retire here. And so you have decades and decades of experience, and they're retired, and they just want to take you fly fishing and teach you everything they know.
Ah.
So it's awesome. I'm
Far
like
out.
in the best possible place to be a new fly fisher. Yeah.
Wow.
That's fascinating. I'm also, to go back to one of the things that you picked up was fly fishing. Okay, so move on.
Wow.
Yeah. So in doing fly fishing, I didn't start for this reason, but it is one of the things that has kept me there, and it definitely changed my life in a pivotal way, which is when you're fly fishing, you're standing in a river, and which that in and of itself is like so incredibly mentally healthy for you, emotionally healthy for you, right?
Right.
And then I'm casting, and it's one of those activities that takes your entire brain. You can't be thinking about if you studied the scriptures enough that day, if you said your prayers the night before, if you went to the temple that week. Like, you can't be thinking about any of that because you have to be so present when you're fly fishing.
Right.
So it becomes very meditative. And I had never felt that state before of just being completely embodied and completely at home with myself, because I always had something to prove. When you're in a high-demand religion, you're constantly proving your worthiness and your obedience and your willingness to sacrifice and all of those things. And so this is a very new feeling for me. And the more I did it, the more I realized I could take away the shame of not liking my life. And when I did that, when I took away the shame and was willing to confront it, what I realized was I really didn't want to be married to a man. And in fact, I was totally and completely in love with my best friend. Mm-hmm. And so that was an eye-opener.
Right.
And yeah, it was a roller coaster. Let's put it that way. I mean, we don't have to get into it too much, but basically I went the whole road of trying to convince myself that, well, I'm not gay. I just had a momentary lapse. And so I told my husband, I told my bishop, we decided that I would go to this therapist who told me that he could fix it, that I wouldn't be attracted to women anymore, right? Yeah, we all know where that's going. Mm-hmm. So that was 6 months of conversion therapy, 4 days a week.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my.
Yeah. It was a lot. And very expensive. Very, very expensive. But the hardest part of that is that I went into it with serious blinders on. Like, I didn't Google this therapist, and I say therapist in air quotes. I didn't Google him. I didn't Google the practice. Like, was it even possible to get someone to not be attracted to the same sex? Is there a school where you can go to be trained for that, right? Can you pick the best conversion therapist? Like, the answer to all of those are no.
Right.
Like,
well, you were
never been deemed successful.
Yeah, I guess you were being obedient and just accepting it on face value, which is, I mean, it's dangerous in anything, to do that.
Yes, it really is. And most of the time we know better. Like, I look into the reviews of the bath towels I buy on Amazon more than I looked into this process. So, yeah, and so and I think it was, again, because it was really couched in shame. Mm-hmm. I was so ashamed of those feelings that I couldn't use my higher level thinking skills.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So eventually, I got to where 57% of people who do conversion therapy, I became suicidal. Because you can only be told you're broken for so long.
Yes,
until you believe.
Until you are broken.
Yeah, right. Till it breaks you. Yeah. And luckily, I was very privileged in that I was surrounded by support and people who loved me and who got me to real doctors very quickly. And those real doctors did two very important things for me. One is that they prescribed me medication that I truly needed. And then they also were able to say, okay, that's conversion therapy, and this is the result of that. And it's not okay, and the APA has debunked it. And while it's technically legal here in Arizona, it's not good for you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so once I had another voice in my head to realize, like, oh, I'm not going crazy. I've been participating in a process that's making me go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that was kind of huge, but I couldn't take in that information all at once. Like literally the meds that they prescribed me let me sleep for the first time in years and years and years. And it was with that sleep that came clarity. You know, every day I would wake up and I would see things a little better. My brain would be functioning a little better. I'd be able to connect the dots a little more. And one of the big things that I realized was the Brett Kavanaugh hearings were happening, and the Me Too movement was happening, and we were hearing all these headlines about how 3/4 of American women have been assaulted. And that was my therapist's premise, was that something happened to you when you were young that made you think that you're attracted to women. But if we can heal that trauma, and isn't that quite the buzz phrase right now,
Mm-hmm.
heal the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the danger of conversion therapy, is they do use pseudoscience to make it seem legit. And that felt very legit. Yeah, something did happen to me as a kid. And so that is probably why I'm going through this. And so unfortunately, it's a re-victimization, right? Like I was a victim of an assault at 15, and now at 37, I was a victim of it again because that's what was trying to destroy my life.
Right.
So, yeah. So, but then when I was starting to wake up and I was connecting these dots, and I realized, wait a minute, 75% of American women have been assaulted. 75% of American women are not gay. Like maybe 5% of American women are gay. Mm-hmm. This doesn't correlate. These two things don't go together.
Right.
This is not legit.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my huge wake up time, and it was 6 months into the process when I woke up and realized this isn't working, and I'm not broken. And when I acted on those feelings, I was actually happier than I've ever been in my whole life.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I came incredibly close to not being here anymore. And I would rather have my 4 children have a gay mom than a dead mom.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, and that I just have to say that is the very reason that we run 2 spots on every single podcast. We run one for the Trevor Project, and we run one for the Trans Lifeline. And we run those every single podcast because, you know, there is hope. There is hope. Mm-hmm. And you're not alone.
And you're not broken.
And you're not broken.
You're not a mess up. You're not a screw up. I mean, you are who you are, and there is no shame in that.
Mm-hmm.
So
preach. Oh my gosh. And I didn't have anyone in my life that were saying those words to me. I mean, I didn't know one single LGBT person in my life at all. I didn't know anyone. So I didn't have anyone saying, no, actually, you're not broken. Like, no, actually, you don't have to be ashamed of these feelings. They're actually totally normal, and they're a part of you. And if you embrace them, you'll find more happiness.
Mm-hmm. You know, there's something very common in that, because I went through the same thing during my coming out process. And for listeners, I was a member of the same high demand religion as our guest. And during my coming out, I mean, and my attempts at trying to heal myself, I mean, I too felt utterly alone and isolated. I mean, I felt like I had nobody to turn to. And by the time I finally got out of that tunnel and removed the blinders and was able to look around, I realized, holy smokes, I'm actually part of a much bigger world than I ever realized before.
Yes, my world has grown 10 times. Yes, that is huge.
Yeah. So tell us about what made you start the Pride and Joy Foundation, and what exactly is that?
Yeah, so just exactly as Ben was saying, I was feeling so alone. I mean, I will never forget, I was in my rental after I'd moved out of our family home. So I had gotten married at 20. So this was the first time I was ever living by myself.
Oh my gosh.
And it was incredible. It was amazing. I loved it. And so especially anyone who's in a mixed orientation marriage knows that master bedroom becomes like kind of a battleground, you know, like there we were, as many of us are when we get married in that religion. We were both virgins and we had no idea what we were doing, and all we knew is that we couldn't make each other happy. And so it just feels horrible every time you walk into that bedroom. And here I was in my own master bedroom and my own master bathroom, and it became this incredibly safe space for me to deal with all these crazy transitions that were happening. And I'll never forget sitting in that room late one night, scrolling on Instagram, and I saw my very first photo of two women getting married.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just,
Was it not the most liberating feeling in the world?
Yes, it was. And then, I think it was that same night, I randomly searched the hashtag, what was it, like lesbian Mormon mom.
Oh, dear.
And I found...
That's amazingly specific.
It is amazingly specific, but I got a funny feeling that it's going to provide more hits than you could have possibly imagined.
Yes, I found a podcast. There was this woman who had 7 children, and she was now like a functioning, healthy, happy adult in a lesbian relationship. She and her husband got along. They had these 7 kids that they were co-parenting, and it was just the biggest bright light of, I'm going to be okay. I'm not the only one going through this. Wonderful. I'm going to be okay. And so once I felt that, it was like, I need to provide that for others. And so that's how the Pride and Joy Foundation started. But I guess more specifically how it started is that here I had raised my 4 kids very Mormon. And some of them were teenagers and some of them were tweens. And they had been raised with me teaching them that homosexuality was a sin. And now all of a sudden their mom is a homosexual, right? And so we had a lot of issues to work through. And a huge part of it was them feeling a little more normal, right? Like they felt so strange, especially where we live. I mean, where we live is a mini Utah, basically.
Oh, right.
In
Oh, yeah.
areas
The
we're
entire,
more
yeah,
Mormon than
the
Utah.
East Valley of Phoenix is, it is like a second Salt Lake City.
I totally agree with you. Yes, it very much is. And so I am very much in the minority, and my kids are, as kids of a lesbian, are very much in the minority. And so I just kept searching for these other families that had gay parents and kids, and it was hard to find them. But when I did, man, it made such a difference for my kids. I could just see them like open up and settle into themselves a little more because they weren't the odd ducks, you know? And so that's when I was like, man, we need more of this. We need like a yearly conference where we can all get together and see each other. We need like a summer family camp where we can all spend a week in the mountains and not be weird. And then I realized, wow, okay, there's straight parents of queer kids, and wouldn't it be helpful for them to have access to queer parents, right? Like there are queer parents that are having to give the sex talk to their kids. And can you imagine the straight parent of the gay boy who's come out to them and he's 16 years old and they got to give the sex talk to him, but they're straight. They have no idea what they're doing. And if they had a resource like gay parents in their back pocket to be able to know, like, how do I address this situation? And so I realized these two groups really needed each other, especially because the straight parents also needed to look at the queer parents and say, okay, my kids have this amazing future ahead of them. they can find love and they can have a family and they're functional and happy. And we need those two groups to find each other to have that support together. So that's why the Pride and Joy Foundation was started.
Wonderful. So what you offer those resources, and I noticed, I was looking at the website, you have a number of resources that you offer to folks. And can you tell us about some of those resources that...
Absolutely. So the biggest one that I love that seems to be the biggest support for people is simply our online support community. Like I said, all those different families being able to come together and support each other. That's incredible. But the other part of it is that we're dedicated to building self-awareness. And that is because the suicide rate in our community is so high, like we've talked about before. And I feel like the only way I was able to come through that is by developing self-awareness or mindfulness, if you want to call it that. And that seemed to be my bag of tricks that led me to success, not only in coming out sexuality-wise, but also coming out of my religion and also like figuring out who I am in this life 2.0, you know. And so I wanted to offer those same tools to parents and to kids to develop that self-awareness and to know how to transition from one part of life to another without losing themselves. And so those are the tools that we offer as well. So we offer the online support community, but then we also offer courses and a self-discovery journal and different things to help develop that self-awareness. And then hopefully soon we'll be offering an annual conference where we can all get together in person. That would be awesome.
That's great.
You had mentioned that some of the resources, that especially... well, the one we were just talking about, how this seems to be a lot of positive response. But overall, I'd like to think that your Pride and Joy Foundation is being very, very well received. I mean, is that the case?
Mm-hmm. I think it is. When the right people hear about it, they get very interested and they're definitely receiving it well. So obviously I'm like a baby gay. Like I haven't been out very long and I don't know the culture very well. And so I'm just starting to realize that there's kind of a disconnect between gay men and lesbians. And then there's a whole nother disconnect between gay men, lesbians, and bi people. Mm-hmm. And then there's a whole nother disconnect with non-binaries and with trans people, right? And I don't think I was aware of that when I started the foundation. But I'm becoming more and more aware of it. And it does seem to be that there are people out there that are searching for a place where we can all be together and ask those awkward questions.
Yes.
And so it's kind of providing that opportunity, which has been really great.
That's great.
To help bridge some of that disconnect, yeah.
There shouldn't be any distinction between all of us, at least. I mean, well, obviously there's a distinction in who we are, but there shouldn't be a rift between, gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender.
No, we're all part of the greater
the alphabet
people.
Exactly.
Right? We're the alphabet mafia right there.
Exactly, Ooh. We are. So is it on the website, and is there a way that folks can support you and support the foundation? I noticed that there's a monthly support, but is there some a way that people can support on a larger level?
Oh, that is so nice. Yes, we do not have the donate button up yet because we're still making sure that all of our 501c3 paperwork is in order and ready to go. So, yeah, we aren't accepting larger donations yet. We are just doing the different classes and different resources. And what is great is that you can get in on all of those resources now at a much more affordable rate, because once we are totally all our ducks are in a row, then the cost for all of the resources will go up a bit to help maintain the foundation. And hopefully, like I said, we'd really love to have that family camp up and running by next summer. So that's a big goal of ours.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Yeah. I would love to continue. I mean, there's so much more to talk about, but we're up against the red line. So let me ask this. Two things. First, Is there any on? Obviously, there's a website. We just talked about that, and that's the Pride and Joy Foundation. I assume if they Google that, they'll be able to find that. But is there any social media presence for either you and or the foundation? Be it Facebook, MySpace,
Twitter,
Instagram, Pinterest. I mean, is there any place on social media where they can learn more about you and or the foundation?
Absolutely. So yeah, prideandjoy.com is kind of headquarters, but I love to hang out on Instagram, and so that's kind of where my more personal stuff goes. My partner and I, we have, prior to COVID, we were asked to do many, many speaking engagements, and so part of my audience really loves to follow my partner. So she never had any kids, and she actually didn't come out until we got together as well. And so she's hysterical with the 4 kids and being an instant bonus mom and dealing with all the Mormonism stuff as well. Like, that's a whole thing. So Instagram is more like of the view into our personal home life. But then, yes, Pride and Joy Foundation is also on Facebook, as well as on Twitter. And
how can they find you on Instagram?
I have not gotten into TikTok yet.
Oh, gosh.
Instagram is Pride Joy Foundation.
Okay. And no Facebook at this point?
There is a Facebook. It's under Pride and Joy Foundation as well.
Okay.
Yep, and that's where we house our online support group as well.
Excellent.
All right. Well, this has been a wonderful conversation. We're going to have you back and talk more about the foundation once you get really going, and especially talking about next summer's big conference together.
Yes, we'll definitely have you on then.
Yeah. So thank you for being on the show this time.
Thank you, Ben and Keith. This was wonderful. Thank you.
Hi, this is Chuck Tomasi from the Technorama Podcast and author of Podcasting for Dummies, and you're listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
Well, that was really a fascinating. It was great.
Well, it was not only fascinating; it was highly enjoyable.
Yeah, it was, and the time went way too fast.
It flew.
Most of our interviews, the time goes way too fast.
Yes, it does.
But we have time constraints, so we have to do that. Here's a few selected birthdays for August 10th through August the 16th, 2020. August 10th. We have Brenton Thwaites, actor. He was in Pirates of the Caribbean, The Giver, Titans.
I don't remember him in Pirates of the Caribbean.
He was a young...
was he a young Will?
Yes.
Will really? He was the young Will Turner?
Yep.
No kidding.
Yeah, and then he's also in Titans.
Oh, yeah, as Dick Grayson.
Yeah, he's the first non-American actor to play Dick Grayson.
And you wouldn't know it. He masks his British accent very well.
Yeah.
I think he's a Brit.
I think he's Australian.
Maybe he's
actually.
Australian. Yeah.
He's also the first actor to play Dick Grayson as Nightwing.
Yes, and I'm really looking forward to the 3rd season of Titans, assuming there is one, because I want to see more of Nightwing now.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have Leo Fender, inventor, Fender guitars, obviously.
Oh my gosh, some of the best guitars out there.
Yep, many of his guitars designed in the 40s are still being used.
David Gilmour of Pink Floyd, formerly of Pink Floyd, still plays, 1950 whatever issues of the Stratocaster.
Yeah, and he spent his whole life in Southern California. He was born in Anaheim and died in Fullerton.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Exactly. Yep. Very interesting. Ian Anderson, musician, Mr. Flute
of Jethro Tull.
Jethro Tull, plays many, many other instruments.
He does some guitar work, some acoustic work. I saw Tull in concert years ago, and there's this one song, a very old song from the Aqualung album, and he started to play it, and he says, but I'm going to need help from my guitarist here, Marty Barr, because I want to make sure that I don't blank this up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
He plays the bouzouki, and he plays the balalaika and assortment of whistles.
He's taught these things all himself. So I saw an interview with him, I think, on Letterman, and the flute was there, so he taught himself how to play it.
Yep. And then we have Kate O'Mara, actress, stage and lots of television. She was in 2 Hammer horror films, Vampire Lovers and Horror of Frankenstein.
No kidding. I didn't know that.
Yep. She was also in Doctor Who. She played the Ronnie, and she was in several episodes of Ab Fab, and she was on Dynasty as Alexis Colby's evil sister.
Yes.
Like you could be more evil than Alexis was.
I know. Well, every once in a while, I think the showrunners of Dynasty, because I admit I watched it, liked to make Alexis nicer. They like to turn her every now and then. So they did that.
Yeah, but I love Kate O'Mara.
Oh, I do too.
Then we have Eddie Fisher, pop singer and gadabout.
Oh, that's about right.
Gadabout.
Gadabout. Wow. How many times did he gadabout?
Yeah. Married to Debbie Reynolds, father of Carrie Fisher.
How many? Yeah, not just Debbie Reynolds. How many other people?
Oh, Connie Francis and Elizabeth Taylor.
Elizabeth Taylor, yeah.
I think it listed 6 or 7 in there. And then we have a friend of ours, Lee Whiteside, and Facebook friend Matt Scott. August 11th, Chris Hemsworth, actor, Thor. He was destined to play Thor.
Yes, he was.
Because
no one can do it like him.
Well, he was born on a Thursday.
Oh,
which
Thor's
is
Day.
Thor's Day.
Thor's Day.
And the last 4 letters of his name.
Worth. Is he worthy?
No.
No?
The last 4 letters of his name. O-T-H.
O-R-T. Oh, that's right. You spin them around, you get Thor.
Yep, exactly. And then his uncle, Rod Ansell, was a bushman that inspired the character of Crocodile Dundee.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, interesting. Fascinating. Then we have Steve Wozniak, inventor, probably the first computer scientist, for real.
I know a lot of people look to Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was more of the business idea guy, but the technical guy was Wozniak.
Exactly. He and Steve Jobs obviously built Apple and spends most of his time now as a philanthropist, focusing mostly on technology in K-12 schools.
Good for him.
Alex Haley, author, published Roots, the saga of an American family that ABC picked up and made into a series.
Took the world by storm.
Starring LeVar Burton.
LeVar Burton.
Yeah. So, and then we have Ian McDiarmid, the Emperor.
Darth Sidious.
Yes. He was actually pursuing a master's in clinical psychology.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a departure.
At the Royal anyway, the way he gets the Emperor's voice, he uses a Japanese method of projecting from the diaphragm, or not from the diaphragm, but from the belly, that gives the Emperor that guttural croak that Lucas wanted.
Yeah, because he doesn't sound, when we see him later, as simply as Chancellor Palpatine. I mean,
yes.
There's certain tonal qualities that are similar.
Oh, yeah.
But it's obviously how he speaks is quite different.
Exactly. And then we have a good friend of ours that passed away way too soon.
He left us way too soon.
Charlie Coppinger.
Former roommate of mine.
Yeah, and we saw him just
shortly before he passed away.
2 or 3
Days.
hours. No.
Oh, that's right. It was hours. Because he went to the hospital that night.
Yeah, he was. We saw him in Costco. He said he wasn't feeling well, and then at 5 o'clock that evening, he was dead.
Gone.
So sad. He was a great guy.
Yes, he really was.
August 12th, Erwin Schrödinger.
Or is it?
Yeah. Physicist. He was a Nobel Prize winner. He wrote many papers and was instrumental in quantum theory, thermodynamics, electrodynamics, and general relativity. He attempted, among other people, to construct a unified theory.
Good luck.
Most famous probably for his cat thought experience.
Yes.
Or experiment.
But it was a great way of trying to demonstrate, or at least explain, the very weird nature of quantum mechanics.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And also Heisenberg's
uncertainty principle.
Yeah. And then we have Cecil B. DeMille, a filmmaker, made 70 feature films, both silent and sound, between 1914 and 1958. He made the Ten Commandments twice.
Yes, the first time was silent. I haven't seen that one. I would very much like to.
And that actually, the original Ten Commandments was what started Paramount Studios.
Oh, of course it did.
And he's buried in the Hollywood Forever cemetery that the back
it.
wall is Paramount Studios.
Yes. In fact, he probably founded that.
Yeah.
In a way.
You never know. You never know. Mark Knopfler, musician, Dire Straits.
Dire Straits.
First CGI on MTV.
That's right.
Money for Nothing.
Money for Nothing, yeah.
And then we have Jane Wyatt, actress, many films before Father's Knows Best. She was Amanda in
Star Trek
original series and Voyage Home. Married for 65 years to the day.
She was a lovely lady.
Yep.
I was at she wasn't at the con, but there was I was at some convention and they were hyping Star Trek 4, and they did a shot because you never see. You've only seen all three of them together in one in one episode, and that was Journey to Babel. And we've never seen them all together again, at least live action. They do in an animated episode. But there was a lovely family shot of the three, her, Mark Leonard, and Leonard Nimoy. And when the fans saw her in that picture, I mean, the eruption of cheers was deafening. And she was wonderful. She's always had a great love. She says those Trekkies were just wonderful.
That's great. She died at the age of 96.
Yeah.
Wow. A very long life. Then we have my cousin Larissa Falconberry and a friend of ours, Kathy Cresswell. August 13th, Burt Lahr, actor, best known as the Cowardly Lion in Wizard of Oz, did burlesque, vaudeville, and Broadway acts. When Judy Garland learned of his death just before going on stage in Las Vegas, she dedicated Somewhere Over the Rainbow to her beloved Cowardly Lion.
Aww, how beautiful.
Yeah. Don Ho, Hawaiian performer, Tiny Bubbles, yep. He got his start. His parents owned a cocktail lounge, and he formed a little band as a kid to entertain the guests. And that's how he got his start and became a goodwill ambassador for Hawaii for many, many, many years. And gave the song Galveston to Glenn Campbell.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, fascinating. Anders Engstrom, physicist, founder of the science of spectroscopy.
Okay.
His work to map the solar spectrum and detailed measurements of the 1,000 spectral lines was long the authority in questions of wavelength. And they talk about an angstrom, the measurement unit, a unit of measurement. So that, and then we have Christina Fiore. Happy birthday.
Mrs. Crazy Joe.
Mrs. Crazy Joe, exactly. August 14th, Steve Martin.
That wild and crazy guy.
Wild and crazy guy. He worked in the magic shop at Disneyland, many movies.
Yeah.
He did 25 appearances on Saturday Night Live, so many that people thought he was part of the cast.
Yeah.
But he was never a part of the cast.
He was one of the earliest guests because his very first appearance was during season 1 of SNL.
Yep. And my favorite is Theodoric of York, medieval barber. He plays the banjo.
Brilliantly, by the way.
Yes, exactly. He's played with Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs. Plays the banjo.
He's a highly talented man.
Yep. And then we have Gary Larson. Oh my gosh, cartoonist, The Far Side. I lived
for The Far Side.
For The Far Side.
I did too.
Oh my God, every day. And Calvin and Hobbes. Those were the two cartoons I had to read every day.
Gary, well, I had to read The Far Side. I had to read Calvin Hobbes, and I had to read. Oh my goodness! Berkey Breathes. Bloom County.
Bloom County. Yeah.
Those are my three.
And then there was Dave Barry when he was writing a column.
I had to read the parent
all
column.
At the same time.
Yeah.
Calvin and Hobbes, Gary Far Side, And
it was really a rich time.
Oh my gosh!
For printed journalism,
it certainly was. Yeah. And actually, Gary Larson has started doing new Far Side cartoons.
Yes, he has. He's finally
on his website.
Yeah, and all because he discovered this new technology, and then it just kind of spurred something in him.
Yeah. And then we have Alice Ghostly, the female Paul Lynde.
Yes.
She was Esmeralda on Bewitched. And oh my gosh.
Esmeralda. Was that the name?
Esmeralda. Yeah.
Okay.
Who was so insecure that she would disappear.
Yes. Oh dear. And just vanish.
Yeah. But she was so many different supporting roles in so many films. Oh my gosh. Unbelievable.
As much as I think she wanted to be like, a working actress, but there was just something so uniquely identifiable about her.
Yep. James Horner, composer, several Star Trek properties, not only films, but, several other properties, and many other scores, died tragically in a plane crash.
I know.
Oh, it was just heartbreaking. And then we have Keith Lane.
Not you.
Not me. The other Keith Lane.
Yeah.
We're friends on Facebook.
And the weird thing is, it's so confusing because for a time, his profile picture was Gort from The Day the Earth Stood Still, and it's this very same Gort that you took a picture of when we were at the Museum of Pop Culture and History in Seattle.
Exactly.
It was so confusing.
And he's also bald. Or shaves his head.
Yeah, it really messed me up for a time, and I thought you were like, maybe there was some little double identity thing going on there with you.
No,
and then I started doing some digging. This is a totally different guy.
And the odd thing is that the guy that sold us our first Subaru actually sold us, is a friend of his.
Oh, weird.
From Rochester, New York.
Oh,
so they lived near each other.
I mean, that's just way too
really
cosmic.
Strange, yeah. And then we have friend Jason Youngdale. August 15th, Julia Child.
Julia Child.
Chef, first celebrity chef, if you will. She changed the face of American cooking by introducing French cooking to America.
Yeah.
I was going to say American Housewives, but to America in general.
Yes.
I have both of her cookbooks.
I remember when the very first time you did her Boeuf Bourguignon, and I was just blown out of my seat how good it was.
There's some really great recipes. And the funny little anecdote about Julia and the French Chef, which debuted in 1962 on WGBH in Boston, is she always had some crazy contraption that you had to, if you didn't have this thing, it's not going to turn out. And, and it could only be used for that one dish. So, but she never took it as far as Ina Garten did.
Oh my goodness!
You can use something else,
but that's okay.
But that's okay, But that was implied.
Yes.
In 1971, the French Chef became the very first program to have captioning for the deaf.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And she was part of the team that invented shark repellent in World War II, and the Navy still uses that shark repellent recipe.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder if that's got something to do with her husband's involvement during that time.
Who knows?
That's weird.
She died at the age of 91 in 2004.
Yeah.
And then we have Tom Colicchio, who is a chef. He was a judge or the boss of Top Chef.
Yeah.
Co-owner and founder of Gramercy Tavern in New York City. August 16th, James
Actually,
Cameron.
you missed two people.
What?
Yeah, missed two people.
Oh, my God. How did I... What the hell? I didn't put them on there.
Oh, yes, you did. But after Tom Colicchio. On the script.
I put them in a different place. Sorry.
Ann Roberts.
Oh, sorry.
On the script.
I scrolled too fast. I scrolled past everybody. Ann Roberts, who tragically left us several years ago. Oh, my
surprisingly.
gosh.
I mean, that broke everybody's heart.
We saw her just a
week earlier.
Yeah, the week earlier.
Yeah.
It was a Saturday. And she made it a point to give us one of her drawings that day.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It was just, still have that.
Yep.
It's wonderful. And then Irene Glover, happy birthday,
Happy
Irene
birthday.
Chuan. And now we have James Cameron, filmmaker, Mr. Terminator.
No, I think he'd like to be known now as Mr. Avatar.
Yeah. He's got like Avatar 14 is in the works or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I think everybody's pretty much forgotten Avatar 1 by now.
Exactly. He frequently uses deep blues in his film. And in every film, there is a character that yells, "Go, go, go!"
Huh. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And known to be very tough and demanding.
Yes, I've heard that.
Julie Newmar.
Oh, my goodness. Everybody's favorite Catwoman.
Oh, my gosh. She is just most known to me as Catwoman.
Yeah,
on
she's
Batman.
my Catwoman. Although I don't want to provide a disservice to Eartha Kitt at the same time, though.
No, because Eartha was a great Catwoman as well.
Yes.
The only reason that Julie was no longer, she had already accepted a film deal and couldn't get out of it. So that's why Eartha stepped in.
Because in the comic books, that it eventually Batman and Catwoman do marry. And I could never see the romantic relationship between Eartha Kitt's Catwoman and Adam West's Batman, but they were able to play that chemistry with Julie Newmar.
Right. Yeah, it may have been something, you know.
And yet she's still forever identified with the character, as we saw at Phoenix Comic-Con.
Oh, my gosh.
She was amazing.
And very proud woman. I will never forget. We were sitting off to the side, and so we could see back into the wings, and somebody was helping her walk with her cane.
Yeah.
And she literally pushed him off.
Yeah.
And walked out on the stage by herself.
Yeah, she didn't want anybody to see that.
Yeah. So, it was, she literally pushed him away and said, I can do it myself.
And she still looks beautiful.
Fabulous, yes. Then we have Taika Waititi.
Oh, my goodness.
Actor, director.
Nut job.
Yeah. He is Maori descent and Ashkenazi Jew.
Oh, I didn't realize that last part.
Exactly. First indigenous person to win an Oscar.
That's right. He was. I love his work in the third Thor film.
Yep.
And I can't think of the name of the character that he voices in that movie.
Oh.
I can't remember, but he's a very stony beast.
Yeah, Nog or Noog.
So I don't remember now, and I'm embarrassed to say that I don't remember.
I looked
but
it
that
up
character will be coming back in the new Guardians of the Galaxy film.
Oh, cool. And then we have Fess Parker, actor, a number of Disney films and projects. Old Yeller, Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier.
Yeah.
And Daniel Boone, the series, and Fess Parker Winery.
Yeah.
Quite nice wines in Santa Barbara. So that's, and David Wagner,
Can't forget
a friend
him.
of ours, David Wagner. Happy birthday, David. And that's it for the birthdays this time.
You're tuned in to Krypton Radio. It's sci-fi for your Wi-Fi.
Go look at KryptonRadio.com. They've got a lot of different programs, and they are a 24-hour geeky internet radio station featuring filk and all kinds of geeky music and shows, and including us on Tuesdays at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counselors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
Okay, this is our feedback time, and this is the feedback that we received various places on social media on various things that we ran throughout this last
various,
yeah. And the links for each of these items that we're doing the feedback from will be featured in the show notes for this episode at tggeeks.com, starting with regarding Hamish Downey's 5 questions with Michael Chan and Nightingale Nguyen of Talking with Our Mouths Full. Now, Talking with Our Mouths Full is Michael's and Nightingale's podcast. Michael Chan says, oh, yes?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, well, for Michael Chan, he says, wow, wow, wow. Nightingale and I had the honor of being interviewed by Hamish Downey about our podcast, Talking with Our Mouths Full. Check it out on TG Squared Studios.
You know, we should talk to them.
We should talk to them.
Michael, if you're listening.
Yeah, we wouldn't mind having you on. And I think Hamish says that we should be on theirs as well.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then also got a comment from Nightingale. She says, thank you for the interview. And then moving on, TG Geeks, episode 284. This is our big Star Trek conversation between me and Keith, and got a comment from Hamish Downey saying, I'm in the middle of watching DS9 for the first time. Hamish, where are you at in the show? I'd like to know. And, when you start getting through it, kind of like to know what your thoughts on that.
Yeah, and he also said that he would have to wait on listening to that episode until he finished his.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Well, I know that he recommended it to a couple of other friends on Twitter.
Yeah.
And then we got a comment from Carrie Merrill. It was her birthday. She says, thanks. And then we got a comment from Kat Forrest because we read a comment of hers. And she says, keep it going.
Yep, there you go.
And then we got a comment from Eamon Saman. I love this guy. He says, love you guys. Thank you so much for the birthday mention. And I would like to say he is still doing his Arabic dictionary on YouTube, and it's still just as funny as ever. His latest one just had me in stitches. And then we got a comment from Arkle, Brian Weber. You guys had a full Star Trek episode and you didn't invite me? Well, and I know Keith already told him it was very spur of the moment.
Spur of the moment, yes.
Yeah. We actually had a no-show on a guest, so that's why we did it. And he said, seriously though, I'm with Ben. Lower Decks just looks bad, sad to say. The thing is, it reminds me of Rick and Morty, and I hate Rick and Morty. I got maybe one light chuckle out of the whole trailer. I might be more forgiving of it were it not, according to the insistence of the producers, in canon with the live action shows. But they insist it is, and that just puts an unpleasant sheen, for want of a better word, on the trailer and the characters.
Michael Sheen is not on this.
No, but unpleasant
Sheen is.
But unpleasant Sheen is. Yeah. That's the illegitimate daughter.
Yeah.
Unpleasant Sheen. And then last we got a comment from Fraser Sherman who says, I'm glad somebody besides me doesn't like Rick and Morty. Well, hey, I don't like Rick and Morty. There's 3 of us.
I've never seen Rick and Morty.
You wouldn't like it, trust me.
Anyway.
And that is our feedback for this week.
And you can leave a comment any place that you find us, whether it be on Facebook or our website,
Instagram,
tggeeks.com, Instagram,
various places.
Twitter, any place that you find us. We also have a listener feedback line, and you can call and leave a voicemail, and we will play that on air. Imagine that.
Yeah.
How about that?
Please.
This is something new.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
But by the time we get around, it'll be new again.
Exactly. And you can call 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. And as always, please play nice. As everybody knows, we are huge supporters of independent creators, whether it's Facebook artists, filmmakers. What the heck? That's not
Your circuits got seriously crossed there.
Seriously. Filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, or others. You know, if go to their Facebook pages for folks that you are interested in and that you like their work, go to their Etsy pages, their websites, buy their stuff, talk to them about their stuff, engage them in a conversation, tell other people about their stuff. It's great to engage with them. And also, since the con scene has disappeared this year, you know, it's more important than ever that you visit their sites and buy their stuff online. So I would encourage you to check out all of those independent creators. The Joshua Tree Feeding Program is a 501c3 nonprofit food pantry for the HIV/AIDS community in Maricopa and Pinal counties. They offer a lot of nutritional items for with clients to take home, and they set it up just like a store so they can pick and choose what they would like so no food is wasted. Please consider giving a gift to Joshua Tree Feeding Program through a monthly program or monthly recurring gift or a single gift. Go to jtfp.org. If you are trans or are questioning your gender identity, and if you are in crisis or are feeling isolated and need someone to talk to, or you know of someone in a similar situation, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to translifeline.org to learn about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help. You are not alone.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
Well, do we talk about it or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen one episode of Lower Decks already.
Oh, dear.
I mean, we'll continue to watch it at least for another 2 weeks because we need to give it the 3-episode sniff test.
Yeah.
But holy smokes. And there was only one moment in it that I liked.
Sniff is right.
Yeah, because it's pretty stinky.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Yeah. It's not my cup of tea.
No, I mean...
I won't trash it. I mean, there are people that will like it.
And I know that
okay.
a lot of people, after the first episode aired, a lot of people very much liked it.
Yeah.
So if it's your thing, great. You know, okay.
It's too frenetic for me.
Yeah, it's too crazy. It's not, and maybe it's because we're just old.
You never know.
Maybe that's it.
Get off my kids, you lawn.
My kids' front lawn, you dadgummit. But yeah, it really wasn't our thing. I didn't care for it all that much. But like I said, we'll give it another shot because, and after 2 weeks, or 2 more weeks, I wouldn't be surprised. Or please don't be surprised if you see me do, another 3-episode review, and hopefully I won't trash it. I mean, it's not god-awful bad, but it's just not my thing.
Yep.
Yeah, so, we didn't care for it all that much. But Arkle, hey, since, you've probably watched it, wouldn't mind knowing what you think about it.
Let us know what you think.
And here's a weekly review of all the things that we ran on our website at tggeeks.com, and the links for each of these articles will be found in the show notes for this episode at tggeeks.com, starting with Sunday, August 2nd, Nerdy Chupacabras, number 7. The Churdy Nubacabras. Yes, from Kami Tannen. Yeah. Right. Okay, moving on. Monday, August 3rd, TG Geeks episode number 285. On Tuesday the 4th, Ben's Breakdown, The Umbrella Academy Season 2, 3-episode thoughts. Now, this is an article that I wrote right after we finished watching the first 3 episodes of The Umbrella Academy. Moving on, Wednesday, August 5th, uplifting short film, The Gesture and the Word, brings a much-needed touch of positivity in today's world. That's a very interesting press release that we got from Chica Arts PR. And then Thursday, August 6th, Ben's Gay Breakdown, Forget the Raven, saying nevermore. How about Never Again? You want to read me trash a movie? Read that one. And then Friday, August 7th, Hamish Downey's 5 Questions with Richard Lee. And then on Saturday, August 8th, Andrea's Angle, The Umbrella Academy Season 2 Wrap-Up. Unexpected twists and character growth, and that is what we ran on our website this past week at tggeeks.com. Have to give some shout-outs. First, to the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News for publishing our content from time to time. It was put up by Arkle, Brian Weber. You heard feedback from him a little bit earlier. You can find his Post-Dispatch News by finding him on Twitter. Do that by searching for Arkle, And you can also find Arkle Studios on YouTube. He has a number of projects, his Shameless Cash Grab series, his Rants vs. Zombies series, and his game videos of Trick and Treat, as well as Star Trek Online. And you can find it at youtube.com/Arkle Studios.
Yeah, I thought he had something new. I thought I saw something the other day, but apparently
you don't see
not.
it there?
I just
Okay.
looked. Oh,
well.
If you do, let us know.
Yes, please do. We must also give some shout-outs to a few Facebook groups because they allow us to share our stuff there. First, Two Gay Geeks After Hours. When I asked the moderators if we could share content there, they said, please share away. The URL is facebook.com/groups/Gay Geeks After Hours, all one word there. And then to The Gay Geek for the same. And the URL is facebook.com/groups/The Gay Geek. And we must give special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves.
And lastly, we can be found on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, as well as where other fine podcasts can be found. Also, check us out on Krypton Radio, 3 a.m., 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesdays, and listen to their other content. Please rate us and review us on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you can listen to our episode while you surf the internet on your device. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We have several links on the page. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. I am Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and others. Stay home, stay safe. Peace.
Cheers.